What if the entire Jedi Council went to Utapau to take on General Grievous, except for Anakin Skywalker? That's what we're going to get into today. Hope you guys enjoy. Please leave a like, it helps a ton, easiest way to support. And let's get right into it. The Jedi Council sat in session, waiting for Anakin Skywalker to arrive. The newly appointed council member and representative of the Chancellor's office, Anakin, was just given the location of General Grievous, and they would be discussing strategy very soon. But before Anakin could enter, Ki-Adi-Mundi spoke up with an idea. Mundi said that bringing down Grievous means bringing down the entire Separatist army. If Grievous dies, the Sith Lord will need to reveal himself. This is, without a doubt, a battle that they cannot afford to lose, and Mundi said the council should show a sign of Jedi unity and strength by going to Grievous as one unit. Windu and the hologram of Yoda on Kashyyyk looked at each other, then said it was a good idea, but may not be possible. Council members such as Plo Koon, Stas Ali, Depa Billaba, Luminara Unduli, and many more were fighting in battles far from Grievous. But Mundi said these battles would all be victories if Grievous is destroyed. He is the new heart of the Separatist army, and they should cut him off for good. Windu then said that the temple must be protected, and Skywalker must stay here to spy on the Chancellor. And Windu said he does not trust Anakin to be here all alone. But then Obi-Wan spoke up, saying that perhaps Mundi is right. Perhaps this would be the perfect test for Anakin. Give him a great responsibility. Teach him what it's truly like to hold the responsibility of a council member. And then Anakin walked in, taking his seat and informing the council that General Grievous is hiding out on Utapau. Yoda immediately spoke up, trusting Kenobi on this, and he said that the entire Jedi Council will go and defeat Grievous. Council members in battle right now will have Jedi replacements dispatched immediately. And Yoda then looked at Anakin, saying that he will not be coming. Before Anakin could argue, Yoda told him that he now held a great responsibility. He would be in direct control of the Jedi Temple until they return. This was a surprise to Anakin, but one he decided to accept. He would show the Council that he deserves to be a master. And from there, the Jedi Council members across the galaxy would wait for their Jedi replacements, and they would all fly to a nearby moon of Utapau, regrouping with each other before the attack. It would take a while, but for the first time the entire Council was preparing to go into battle together, and they would be aided by Kenobi's 212th Legion, along with the 187th Battalion, under the control of Mace Windu. It was a battle they could not and would not lose. And on Coruscant, as the Jedi regrouped and prepared, Anakin informed Palpatine that the entire Jedi Council was going to Utapau. They were going to end this war, once and for all. Anakin said that once Grievous is destroyed, the Separatists will have no choice but to surrender to the Republic. This news was a shock to Palpatine. He wanted the Jedi Council spread throughout the galaxy for when the time came for Order 66, but having them all in one place? Well, that could work extremely well, and Palpatine could use this against Anakin as well. He went on, saying that the Jedi Council must really not trust Anakin to exclude him from this mission. But Anakin seemed to ponder this statement, and then he said it's actually the opposite. Anakin said he's never felt more trusted by the Jedi, and he has assumed control of the Jedi Temple until they return. As the lone council member on Coruscant, he's the highest ranking Jedi, and that faith was put in him by the Jedi Council. Palpatine scowled at this notion, but quickly concluded that the Jedi finally did something right with Anakin. Usually, his manipulations were just given to him by the Jedi, but today they countered him very well. He would find his way back to Anakin, but for now, Anakin said that he must go back to the temple. Palpatine watched him go, discouraged but not defeated, and he decided to increase the clone presence on Utapau. He ordered the 104th Legion to prepare to leave Cato Nemoidia and head for Utapau. The Jedi were right. That was a battle that he could not afford to lose. Palpatine sat back, crossing his hands, smiling. The Jedi would die after their greatest victory. Now he just needed Anakin. On Utapau, General Grievous was pacing in front of the Separatist leaders when things began to turn for the worst. The ground underneath him began to shake, and 3 Republic cruisers emerged from hyperspace above the planet. Transports and gunships were immediately dispatched down to the ground below, and Grievous quickly ordered the Separatist leaders to get to their transports before it was too late. And the cyborg general watched as the transport was blown to pieces. and Jedi Masters Kit Fisto, Plo Koon, and Stas Alley landed on the ground in front of the leaders, telling them they were under arrest. Grievous ordered his army to attack the Jedi, but a moment later, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Shaak-Ti, Luminara Unduli, and Agen Kolar landed in the middle of the droid army, distracting it from the other Jedi. Grievous roared in anger. The Jedi Council was here. Clones began pouring in to aid the Jedi, as Grievous called to reinforcements on the upper levels to join this fight. But now landing on the upper level was Sazitin, Apo Rancis, Coleman Kaj, and Depa Balaba. Grievous prepared to run away and escape, as he usually did when the odds were against him, but as he turned to leave, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the Grand Master Yoda himself landed in front of him. At every corner of the Utapau levels that the Separatists occupied, clones and Jedi were overrunning the Separatists. Grievous had no way out, except for the death of all of the Jedi. So he waited as 10 Magna Guards came to his aid. Then he ignited his 4 lightsabers. Windu, Kenobi, and Yoda ignited their own sabers, and Grievous thought he even saw a small smile from Kenobi. Growling, he and the 10 guards charged in, and suddenly, amidst the chaos of the Battle of Utapau, were the constant sounds of blaster fire. The hum of lightsabers reverberated through the air. A pivotal moment unfolded in a sector right next to Grievous's ship. The clash of lightsabers began as Windu and Kenobi directly engaged Grievous, while Yoda flipped over the droid general to take out the 10 guards all by himself. The Grand Master flipped and slid by each guard, cutting them apart one by one, causing their circuits to be confused just by the sheer speed of Yoda as he flipped around them. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan and Mace circled Grievous, going in for attacks, trying to read the general. Grievous did not have the Force, but he had become a renowned Jedi killer, and so Windu and Kenobi approached cautiously, but the attacks became more and more aggressive as the battle continued on. Windu went aggressively in, striking at 2 lightsabers, giving Kenobi the opportunity to cut off one arm, which was immediately followed by a kick to his face. Kenobi sprawled to the ground, dazed, and got back up quickly to rejoin the fight. After a bit, Windu and Kenobi were on the edge of the platform as Grievous was using his full strength, trying to push them down below. The 2 Jedi would have to end this now. But a moment later, Grievous's laughter was interrupted as Yoda flipped directly through the back of Grievous, cutting right through him. Grievous looked down and then fell dead in half in an instant. Yoda landed in a battle stance, and the 3 Jedi nodded at each other. Kenobi would inform Skywalker that Grievous was dead, and they would wrap this battle up quickly. In the Jedi Temple, Anakin answered a communication from Obi-Wan, saying Grievous is dead, and the Chancellor should be informed immediately. Obi-Wan said that Anakin should note how the Chancellor reacts, and then Obi-Wan smiled warmly, saying that soon after, Anakin would be a master. Anakin returned the smile, ending the call, taking off for Palpatine's office. Upon hearing this news, Palpatine knew his time was running low. The Council would only be together on Utapau for a bit longer. It was time for him to bring Anakin to his side, whether Anakin was ready or not. He had to try. Palpatine simply could not waste this opportunity with the Council all together in one place. And so Palpatine gave his talk to Anakin, telling him that the Jedi are going to try and take over the Republic, and that only he can save Anakin's wife. Anakin came to the realization that Palpatine is the Sith Lord, and to Palpatine's dismay, Anakin left for the Jedi Temple to report this to the Council. For Palpatine, this meant Anakin would be a loss that he would have to replace. So be it, and the Sith Lord moved to his communicator to execute Order 66 while the Council was wrapping everything up on Utapau. And on Utapau, Windu, Yoda, and Obi-Wan finished clearing their sector of battle droids with Cody and the clones. Around them, on different levels, Jedi were finishing up their sectors as well. They were quickly wiping out the Separatist presence here on Utapau. Grievous was destroyed. The Separatist leaders were arrested. It all seemed to be working in their favor. But as the trio prepared to go aid their fellow Council members, Obi-Wan got a new alert on his comlink. It was Anakin. And so the 3 Jedi moved through the communications table to see what it was that Anakin needed. Upon answering, the Jedi noticed that the hologram of Anakin was distraught, betrayed, worried, and so they asked what was wrong. After a moment, Anakin revealed the truth. Palpatine is the Sith Lord. The 3 Jedi looked at each other. and began discussing what they do next. But above Utapau, the Republic Star Destroyers of the 212th, 187th, and 104th Clone Legions received orders directly from Palpatine. Execute Order 66. They were to rain firepower down on Utapau until they were positive no Jedi could have survived. The clones prepared to fire, though they were a bit hesitant. This meant firing down on their brothers, innocent civilians, countless lives lost just to kill these Jedi traitors. But Palpatine said if they hesitate any longer, they will all be executed for treason as well. And so the gunners in the 3 Star Destroyers aimed at the locations of the Jedi and fired. As Yoda listened to Anakin, he felt a shift. Something was off in the Force, so he turned and looked up to see the Star Destroyers fire directly down to their location. And with all of his power, Yoda used the Force to throw Windu and Obi-Wan off of the ledge behind them with less than a second to spare. Windu and Obi-Wan were thrown away, and they watched as Yoda in the entire area was blown up immediately. The 2 Jedi fell forever, eventually landing safely in the water below, but they would be the only survivors. Fisto, Plo Koon, Stas Ali, they were suddenly defending against their own men when firepower from the Star Destroyers were rained down on the entire area, killing all of the clones and Jedi. The rest of the council members, Luminara, Coleman Cash, Apo Rancis, Sazitin, Kiadi-Mundi, everyone else was blown apart by the extreme firepower of the Star Destroyers. It was constant and it was relentless, and soon the platforms were falling through the sinkhole. Pau City was quickly decimated, and nearly every single clone and civilian anywhere near the Jedi was killed without mercy. It was a terrible, gruesome day for the planet, for the city, for everyone here, and Obi-Wan and Windu watched from far below as the city was destroyed, until the firepower was eventually stopped. The 2 Jedi were extremely weakened, as they were hit by the explosion that killed Yoda, but they were alive, at least for now, alive and hidden away. And in the Jedi Temple, Anakin Skywalker was standing completely numb. The last thing he saw on the data table was Yoda push the other 2 away, and then an explosion before everything cut out. Anakin stood here waiting desperately for anything, and finally, his comlink beeped. It was Mace Windu, using his own comlink on his wrist, instead of the now blown-up communications table. Windu informed Anakin what happened. The clones turned on the Jedi. Somehow, Palpatine has decimated the Jedi Order. And Windu simply told Anakin that he is the last hope for the Jedi, for the Temple. He said, "Go, save the Order, Master Skywalker." And the comm was ended. Anakin stood angrily, adrenaline rushing through him. Palpatine would pay. And throughout the temple suddenly, Anakin heard screaming and running, so he sprinted out and saw the temple guards looking down the stairs. Anakin looked to the stairs where, at the bottom, hundreds if not thousands of men, his men, the 501st, were climbing up to invade the temple. Anakin moved quickly, sprinting to the Jedi Temple hangar, and he got into a Jedi starfighter. There was no time to hesitate. Anakin had to act. He had to save the Jedi. So he took off and flew next to the temple. Finally, Anakin reached the temple stairs, and he switched to missiles. He did not aim for the troopers. Instead, he aimed for the top of the stairs, and Anakin fired as many missiles as he could. He watched as the missiles landed perfectly on the stairs, and they were completely blown up, destroyed from about the halfway mark up. 501st members were thrown back, but not directly hit. They would have to find a new way into the temple, and this would take time. Hopefully enough time for Anakin to stop whatever was going on. And with the temple stairs destroyed, Anakin flew over his 501st men directly for Palpatine's office. In his office, Palpatine felt the light of the Jedi fading away and a cloud of darkness emerging to take its place. Anakin was lost, likely to die in the temple, but it was an acceptable loss. He could be replaced. Though no one was as powerful as the Chosen One, in time, he would rule his empire with someone by his side. Perhaps Maul, perhaps the former apprentice of the Chosen One. Either way, the Sith would rule the galaxy once again. But moments later, Palpatine watched as his 4 royal guards were lifted into the air and then thrown out of the window behind Palpatine. Air rushed into the room as they fell to their inevitable death, and through the door walked Anakin Skywalker, a blue hue from his lightsaber surrounding him. Darth Sidious slowly stood up, Of course, it's only right that he survive, and then he face and kill the light side of the Force for himself. And he called a red lightsaber to his hand, calling Anakin a failure. And then he flipped into the air to engage the Jedi. Anakin Skywalker and Darth Sidious engaged in a sudden duel, the room becoming a chaotic battleground, with the flickering glow of red and blue lightsabers illuminating the area as sparks flew around them. Anakin's blue blade clashed relentlessly with the crimson of Sidious, anger pulsing through each of them. As the duel intensified, the combatants weaved through the room, using the furniture, the architecture to their advantage. Anakin's movements were fueled by a mixture of determination and some conflict, while Sidious's strikes were infused and balanced by the dark side. Anakin, once torn between loyalty to the Jedi and the seductive promise of the dark side, now fought fully in the light. He was a Jedi Master. He would save Padme for himself. He would kill the Sith. The duel was now more intense than ever, with shattered artifacts, displaced objects bearing witness to the relentless conflict, the Force being thrown around the room as both combatants drew upon its power to enhance their every movement. As the minutes passed, fatigue was threatening to set in, yet neither warrior would yield. The ebb and flow of their clash mirrored the shifting balance of power in the galaxy, the dark side hanging in the air as the duel reached its climax, culminating in a pivotal moment that would define the destiny of Anakin Skywalker. In a surge of determination, Anakin pushed himself beyond his limits, his lightsaber strikes faster, more precise. Sidious sensed the shift in momentum, and he responded with increased aggression, but Anakin countered with a newfound balance within himself. His eyes were a blaze of mixture of pain, purpose, power, and with a powerful swing, he disarmed Sidious, sending the Sith Lord's lightsaber flying across the room. The office fell silent, the only sounds the heavy breathing of both of them. Palpatine opened his mouth to try and speak to Anakin once more, bring him to his side in a desperate move. But the last thing Sidious felt was the emitter of a lightsaber against the soft flesh of his jaw. The last thing he heard as the blue plasma chewed upwards through his head, bursting from his skull and burned away his life, was Anakin Skywalker confidently saying, "You have lost, my lord." And Anakin ran over to the communicator, finding the frequency to speak to all clones, and he began speaking, saying that Chancellor Palpatine has betrayed the Republic, committed treason, and as the Jedi Council representative of the Chancellor, he did his duty by killing the traitor. Anakin said he now assumes direct control of the Grand Army, and he ordered them all to stand down immediately or face execution. And around the galaxy, Order 66 was disabled by the request of the man now in charge of the Republic. Thousands of Jedi were already dead, but Kenobi and Windu survived with the order to stand down, arriving just before they were found. Around the galaxy, things were settled, and Anakin knew he made the right choice. In time, Padme Amidala would give a safe birth, with Jedi Master Anakin Skywalker now officially on the Jedi Council, waiting for her. The Jedi Order had been decimated by Order 66, but the clones never reached the Jedi Temple. Anakin had given the order to stand down just in time, and so everyone in the temple survived. But the Council, thousands of Jedi spread throughout the galaxy, were killed. The Order may have been weakened, but it was not gone. It would rebuild, with Luke and Leia training as Jedi, and the Republic won the war with Grievous and the Separatist leaders destroyed. Anakin would give up his role of leading the Republic back to the Senate, and they eventually elected Mon Mothma. The clone army had their chips removed, and they got to choose between being a Republic police force or going off to live a new life. And that, folks, is where our story ends for today. I enjoyed this one a lot. I like the idea of them just entrusting Anakin, and Anakin acting on that trust. Yeah, let me know what you thought. I thought it was a fun story, an idea I've had for a while. So, yeah, what'd you think? Let me know in the comments. Please leave a like, easiest way to support, and I'll see you in the next video.